The story starts with a young orphan girl called Heidi. She had lived with her aunt for many years. However, for some reasons, her aunt could no longer take care of her. Heidi's aunt takes her to the mountains to stay with her grandfather, Alpahai. The townspeople are scared of him and think he may have committed a murder in the past. Heidi's aunt, however, ignores all these rumors. She doesn't even think about whether Alpahai could be dangerous for Heidi. She just takes her to his house. Heidi feels uncomfortable in her stiff dress while climbing the mountain. She takes it off to feel more comfortable and begins to enjoy nature. When they arrive at Alpahai's house, he does not want to keep Heidi with him. Her aunt acts like she will take Heidi back. However, she secretly leaves her there and runs away. When Alpahai sees that Heidi has been left behind, he tries to stop her aunt, but she does not listen to him. In a fit of anger, Alpahai chooses to leave Heidi alone and locks his house from the inside. She has no other choice, so she finds a spot to sleep in the barn with the goats. The next morning, Alpahai gives her goats milk to drink for breakfast. Then, he brings her to the priest. The priest checks Heidi and says she is totally healthy. He advises Alpahai that it is his responsibility to take care of her. Alpahai says that he does not want to keep Heidi. The priest replies that he will take 3 days to find out if any farmer in town needs a child helper. When they get home, Alpahai lets her in the house. However, everything inside is arranged for just one person. She sees a pile of hay. She happily makes it her bed and begins to live there. Heidi meets a boy named Peter the next day, and they meet every day. He comes to take Alpahai's goats out to graze. One day, Alpahai decides to take Heidi with him. He gives her bread and cheese for lunch, too. Heidi likes her time because it allows her to go outside. Heidi is enjoying the open sky. Meanwhile, Peter is secretly eating some of her lunch. When Heidi understands this, Peter quickly blames the goats. As they talk, 2 goats suddenly begin to fight. Peter uses his stick to keep them apart, but Heidi really doesn't like it. She makes Peter promise that he will never hit the goats again. She agrees to share half of her lunch with him every day in return. Peter asks Heidi to keep their deal a secret. He is afraid of Alpahai. When Heidi gets back home, she begins to act oddly with Alpahai. She even insists on sleeping in the barn. Alpahai understands that she has discovered the false accusations made against him. He tells Heidi calmly that, instead of believing others, she should listen to her heart. She needs to decide if her grandfather could ever do something like that. Heidi feels her heart warm, and she begins to trust her grandfather. She runs to hug him. Then, she happily goes to sleep in the attic. The next day, Heidi goes out with Peter and the goats again. At the same time, Alpahai begins to work on crafting. When Heidi returns home, she is surprised to see someone in another chair at the dining table. Alpahai then tells her that she can stay with him. When Heidi hears this, she feels very happy. In just a few days, she wins Alpahai's heart and becomes best friends with Peter. She feels more comfortable, so she even cuts her hair short. One day, Peter tells her that he can't play with her anymore because he has to start going to school. He invites Heidi to visit his house anytime. He also tells her that they can only play together again during spring break. After hearing this, Heidi wants to go to school, but Alpahai does not let her. He understands that in winter, Heidi cannot travel to town for school. When winter comes, it gets hard for Heidi to go outside. Being indoors all the time makes her feel bored and restless. Alpahai carves a wooden bird toy for her, but it doesn't really help a lot. Alpahai builds a sled that can move through the snow to cheer up Heidi. He takes her for a ride, and it lifts her spirits successfully. Then, he takes Heidi to Peter's house so she can hang out there. Heidi meets Peter's mother and grandmother at his home. Peter's family is in a tough financial spot because his father has passed away. Peter's mother is trying her best to teach him. Heidi goes back home after spending the entire day with them. She hugs Alpahai and feels grateful for having him in her life. Time goes by, and Heidi keeps living happily with her grandfather. Everything seems perfect, but one day, her aunt suddenly arrives. She informs Alpahai that she has arrived to bring Heidi back. She has a job that lets her take care of Heidi. Alpahai, however, does not trust her words. Deet pretends to be ashamed and acts like she is about to leave. Once again, she deceives Alpahai and quietly looks for Heidi. Deet sees Heidi playing with Peter. Heidi says no when she is asked to go with her. She tells Heidi that Alpahai wants her to go too. When Heidi hears her grandfather's name, she believes him and agrees to leave. When Peter comes back with the goats, Alpahai quickly realizes what has happened. He hurries to town to look for her. However, at that point, it is too late. Dieter takes Heidi to Frankfurt. They arrive at a grand mansion. She introduces Heidi there. However, the governess is not happy to see her. She believes that Heidi is rude and unclean. Dieter reminds the governess that they asked for an orphan girl. Heidi has come to be a friend for the owner's daughter, Clara, who is unable to walk. Heidi happily pushes Clara's wheelchair and accidentally breaks a vase. Clara takes all the blame in front of Fräulein to protect Heidi. Heidi needed to learn many things if she was going to stay with Clara. They clean her up and begin teaching her how to live in the house correctly. Heidi begins studying with Clara as well. Everyone is shocked when they find out that Heidi cannot read or write. Fräulein wants to get rid of Heidi right away. However, she cannot do that until Clara's father gets here. She tells the professor to have Heidi study too. Heidi learns the house rules in just a few days. However, she does not change completely. Whenever she has a chance, she hides pieces of bread in her pocket. Heidi wins Clara's heart and becomes really close to her. Clara shares her feelings. She reveals that she was so heartbroken after her mother's death that she stopped walking. One evening, Heidi asks Sebastian, a servant, to open the window so she can see the mountains. When she looks outside, all she sees are buildings. Seeing this, Sebastian tells her that she should go to a much higher place to see the mountains. Heidi plays a trick on everyone and quietly leaves the house with Clara. Clara is excited because she was never allowed to go outside. They arrive at the city tower. Heidi leaves Clara by herself to climb higher in search of the mountains. She feels disappointed again because all she sees are endless buildings. At the same time, Clara begins to feel afraid. She sees a man selling kittens and decides to buy some. At home, everyone starts to panic when they notice the girls are missing. They quickly rush to the market to look for them. Sebastian eventually finds them. Clara quickly hides the kittens under her blanket before they return home. Before Fräulein can get mad at them, she begins to sneeze due to her cat allergy. At that moment, one kitten jumps off Clara's lap. Fräulein gets so scared that she climbs up a pole. At lunch, Fräulein has Heidi stand with her back to everyone, facing the wall. She tells Heidi that next time, the punishment will be even worse. Heidi feels really bad about this. She quietly takes all the bread she saved and tries to sneak out of the house. However, Fräulein catches her and scolds her. She says that she should be grateful for the luxurious life and home she has been given. Heidi is more upset because Clara is crying. After this incident, Clara's health gets worse, and Heidi feels overwhelmed by guilt. When Clara begins to feel a bit better, Heidi comes to her room and explains that she wasn't leaving because of Clara. Clara is getting better. She goes back to her usual routine and starts studying again. A few days later, Clara's father and grandmother come. Clara is very happy to see them. Fräulein does not seem happy when she sees Clara enjoying herself with a friend. Her father is happy that his idea was successful. Fräulein tries to change his mind. She argues that Heidi is still wild and does not focus on her studies. Clara's grandmother thinks differently. She does not believe what others say. Clara's grandmother wanted to see everything with her own eyes. That night, she shares a bedtime story with Heidi but leaves it unfinished. She hopes that Heidi will want to read it by herself. Heidi admits that she doesn't want to learn because Peter said so. Studying is not helpful. The grandmother tells Heidi that she should not believe everything she hears. Instead, she should think for herself and analyze things. Heidi loves stories, so she decides to focus on learning. The next day, Clara's grandmother tells her father that Heidi is a sweet child. However, keeping her in the house goes against her wishes, so she should be sent back. However, he does not want this because Heidi's presence has improved Clara's health. Over time, odd sounds begin to emerge from the house, and the servants frequently discover the main door left open. Heidi works hard to finish the story. In the end, she learns how to read. She reads it aloud proudly in front of the whole family. Clara's father sees this and understands that Heidi can stay in the house, but Heidi doesn't appear to be truly happy. After this, Clara's grandmother comes back home. That night, while Clara's father plays chess with his friend, he hears the same strange noises. Clara's father's friend is searching the house because he is worried that a thief is broken in. In reality, it is Heidi who is sleepwalking. She leaves her room without realizing it. She opens the main door and looks up at the open sky, just like she did when she was herding goats. She goes back to her room and falls asleep again. The doctor examines Heidi and sees that she is shivering a lot because of the cold. The doctor says that Heidi has homesickness. He warns that if she isn't sent home soon, her health might be at risk. Clara's father is still unsure about sending Heidi away. The next morning, he tells Clara about Heidi's condition. He explains that she needs to go back home. Instead of understanding, Clara gets upset and locks herself in her room. Heidi is glad to go back home, but she is concerned about Clara. She approaches her to talk, but Clara won't open the door. At last, it is time for Heidi to go. Before she leaves, she gives Clara's father a wooden bird that Alpahai made for her. She also promises Clara that she will visit again. Fräulein believes that the house will be calm now. As soon as she turns, she sees a kitten. The cook picks it up, decides to keep it, and names it Heidi. Heidi goes back to Alpahai's town, and everyone is really happy to see her. She goes to meet Alpahai quickly. Alpahai now takes Heidi to school. During winter, they move to a house in town. Heidi's new teacher is kind. This makes learning easier for her. Everything goes back to normal. Heidi finally achieves the life she has always dreamed of. Heidi is happy with her new life in the mountains. However, she still misses Clara. She writes letters to her. When Clara reads them, she feels sad. She realizes that she never even said goodbye to Heidi. Clara's grandmother sees her granddaughter upset, so she decides to take her to Heidi's home. The two friends are very happy when they meet again. Clara's grandmother decides to let Clara stay with Heidi for a few days. Heidi demonstrates to Clara how she lives in the mountains, and they become even closer. This makes Peter feel jealous. One day, he pushes Clara's wheelchair off a cliff. Everyone soon sees that Peter is the one responsible. Alpahai stays with both children at all times to keep Clara safe. Clara sees a beautiful butterfly. Without thinking, she stands up to follow it. She has a hard time at first, but she is able to take small steps. She keeps getting better with the help of Heidi and Peter. A few days later, Clara's father and grandmother arrive to take her home. When they see Clara standing by herself, they feel a rush of happiness. Before she leaves, Clara promises Heidi that they will meet again. Clara's grandmother gives Heidi a diary and a pin, too. In the last scene, Heidi is happily taking care of goats with Peter, just like she did before. Now, in addition to her daily routine, she is writing in her diary. She is fulfilling her dream.